I think that's a good start. How about making some fun of Bethesda? Yes, I was muted. I pressed the button and it didn't work. The usual. Why is that still here? No, we watched this yesterday. Here we are. Here we go. Oh
It
god.
almost felt like I was living in a simulation this past weekend, eerily similar to weekends I had back in early 2024, starting my new save file for Palworld, getting lost in space and time, entire days just gone, an unreasonable number of, I need to do this one last thing, albeit this time
I know that feeling very, very well. That's literally how I'm in a way. That's literally every time I play TerraTech Legion. So I Survivor's game, where you build vehicles of destruction. And kind of the same when I start playing Path of Exile 1 or 2 season. Kind of the same, yeah. You're sitting there playing a game and you think like, this one thing I have to do, just this one thing, one more thing, then I'm good. And then there's another thing that, yeah, just this one thing, or the thing just takes hours to do because you are slow. At least that goes for me, old man.
around, I was a little less sad and a little less pudgy. Growth. But on top of Palworld hitting Steam chart highs for the second time, it has been a very busy week. Sony is now actively getting sued over anti-consumer behavior. Ubisoft sold
Nice.
2 million copies of Black Flag Resynced, and we somehow got two of the worst summer blockbusters within a couple weeks of
Oh yeah, I've read a rumor correctly. Supergirl completely flopped, and I have heard nothing about Moana, which is even worse than hearing about the movie flopping. If you don't hear about a movie at all, that means no one cared. No one.
each other, but mostly we saw two sides of the same coin. We got Triumph in Palworld, which against all odds fought against Nintendo, against the Pokemon fanboys preying on its downfall, and just hit almost 860,000 concurrent players on Steam. And we also got full public meltdowns in what is currently happening over at Bethesda. One of these studios has worked very diligently to earn your time and money, and one of them thinks that they are just entitled to it. But first,
Yeah,
let's
it's-
catch up on a few things. Sony's
That's a thing that happens a lot with modern people working in media. They are very entitled because they have been told that, you know, they deserve things without earning them, you know. And that's why they feel so entitled. That's why they are such bad people.
still has not said a single word about the physical media backlash. They have just kept marching on, posting while getting absolutely bodied in their comment sections across.
This was 2 weeks ago, right? No, 4 weeks. Yeah, they had come out. They go through it. They don't care. Which is to be expected. They are owned by the same people that own every other thing that is going digital only. And that's where that's coming from the investors. That's not a decision that they made because they wanted that. It was, yeah, you do that. And so they do that because the owner says so. AKA BlackRock.
Every platform, which is weirdly kind of impressive. I don't know, I won't lie. Meanwhile, 2 days after announcing discs are going to die, their CEO sold off more than half of his personal stake in the company, about $4.5 million worth, and several other executives sold that exact same week too. And now they are staring down a lawsuit north of $450 million over exactly this. No discs or resale market or alternative to their storefront, just Sony alone deciding what a game should cost and how long you get to play it for. So the plan right now for them seems to be say nothing, let people crash out, and silently hope that GTA 6 fixes everything. Black Ops 1 and 2 ports dropped and immediately shot to the top of the PlayStation charts. Everyone
Yes, because Call of Duty players are retarded. These people literally pay full price for the same game every year. I mean, do I have to say more? It's literally the same game every year. Every year. Why are you falling for that? Oh, right, because you're stupid. And you still want to. You like the game. You get. I mean, let's be fair. No one plays for the story. Unlike back in the day, where people were buying games for the story and the multiplayer, and now it's just the multiplayer. The story is just whatever. And we can tell by how bad the story is, and no one actually really cares. Yeah. Bad times.
Was so excited, and then everyone found out that they had shipped the entire 2012 experience all over again, including the hackers. A decade of old problems came right back along with the new games, and Activision ended up having to pull a whole playlist down. Thankfully, they did fix it though, which means the 3-act story is now complete. Old COD humiliates new COD, old COD immediately breaks, and Activision somehow swoops in to save the day. Meanwhile, Black Ops 7 is still just sitting over there in the corner. Over in the world of movies, Moana and Supergirl are currently locked in a battle for which summer blockbuster gets to lose the most money. And it is looking pretty neck and neck for now, so congrats.
So the movie is flopping. I'm not surprised. I mean, to be fair, does this poster for the movie looks like... Does this make you, oh yeah, I want to watch the movie? No, because what is there? Nothing. There's nothing. I mean, you have attractive, cute woman, but that's it. And yes, I know, oh, it's for kids. I know that. But if you just remember when you were a kid, would this make you want to watch this? No. There's nothing there. And same here. This is nothing. This is boring. Everything here is boring, which is a problem.
To both. Then, of course, there is the Black Flag remake, and even though I loved the original game, I am personally not quite ready to give Ubisoft my money, but credit where credit is due.
I'm not going to buy anything from Ubisoft ever again, or EA, or Activision Blizzard. I refuse that. I am done with that. I don't even remember when the last time was. EA is, I think, a decade ago, maybe even longer. Ubisoft, I don't know. Oh, I do know. It was The Division 2, when that released. It was fine. I think I have 60 hours in that game, maybe up to 100. And then I stopped because it's whatever. Blizzard Activision, yeah, I played World of Warcraft, of course. But that's it.
They sold 2 million copies in a single day with no players engaged wording to be found anywhere, and became the very first Assassin's Creed game ever to break 100,000 concurrent players on Steam. They also dropped essentially what is a battle pass into it, along with $85 worth of DLC, which has reportedly already made $1 million on top of the game sales. People have also been sharing clips of how beautiful the game looks, and somebody decided that included a close-up of a female NPC's feet, which currently has tens of thousands of likes on it. Speaking of female NPCs, on top of toning down some of the female character designs, they all...
Yeah, who could have guessed that they would make all the women ugly? Who could have guessed? Oh yeah, everyone. Everyone. Of course they would do that. Why? Because of all the women in the company that are jealous of attractive women, because they are unattractive. So they hate when other women get attention. That's why that is made.
Also censored the figurehead on a boat. Keep in mind, this is an M-rated game. You spend the entire time slitting throats, blowing up ships full of human beings, but somebody had to sit in a meeting and spend time and spend money making sure that the wooden lady up front got a bra.
Yes, because they hate men and they hate attractive women. I said that before, and I will repeat this until everyone knows. They hate attractive women and they hate men, so they do that.
Next one has been on my mind for a while. So Love in Deep Space, for anyone unfamiliar, is an enormous Otome gacha game, over 80 million
it's a gacha
downloads,
game, yeah.
and to be very clear, it is a girl Gooner game. And last month, they
Oh.
announced a sixth love interest named Valko, who is a werewolf tech CEO.
Of course.
But it got backlash.
Of course, he's a werewolf. Love turns to hate as Love and this Deep Space maker in-fold games forced to delete new boyfriend. What? Okay.
Because a chunk of the player base was mad that a brand new character was pulling resources from the team when the 5 guys already in the game are apparently starving for more content. And then it escalated. There were reportedly real-world protests, and allegedly someone put poop inside of the company's lockers. So Paper Games just canceled him completely, even though he was fully ready to go, fully voice acted, cinematics finished, and then the other half.
So what you're telling me is that women are crazy, just like men are. Because, remember, this is made for women, which is very clearly by how the guys look, right? And that it's guys and not women. And that you play as a woman. I mean, it's very, very clear, right? Very, very clear what's going on here.
Of the fan base lost it, and the petition to bring Valko back cleared 300,000 signatures in about 4 days. For scale, the biggest petition against Sony ending physical media was about 200,000 the last time I checked, so it just goes to show, never underestimate the power of Gooners. Which brings me to Fortnite, yet again, whose summer collab with DC Comics just added bikini skins and tiny Batman swim shorts.
Yep. Oh boy. This is making me want to play the game, but wait. That's not Marvel. Wait, what? Yeah, that's not wait, what? Oh, DC Summer Fortnite. Okay, I was confused. Yeah, okay, yeah. I like this, you know, for very apparent reasons.
Rivals approach, I see. It looks like they have finally remembered that they are rated T for teen. But moving on from all of that, I have watched Bethesda utterly crash out in headlines this whole past week, and I just cannot believe how much they keep digging themselves into a hole. It is.
Why not? Why not? I mean, it's very obvious that they are all incompetent. So why would you expect anything else?
It's been a whole saga at this point, but with all of the restructuring happening over at Xbox, Bethesda devs have now come out to say that The Elder Scrolls 6 could be getting delayed. You know, the same game that was announced 8 years ago. And the reason that they are giving is the recent layoffs. They have fewer people now, legacy knowledge is walking out of the door, and their proprietary engine, which if we are being honest, mostly runs on vibes, is going to be pretty challenging for newer contractors and devs to work with. And while
Didn't they create the version 2 of the engine? Or working on that? Man. I tell you, everyone that works at that studio at that company is freaking incompetent. Absolutely.
I'm not denying that this is true, and I'm sure that there have unfortunately been some long-term, really talented people swept up in all of this. This game was announced 8 years ago. Skyrim released 15 years ago. If a wave of cuts right now is what is delaying this game, what exactly has been happening for the past decade? Since
nothing. Literally nothing. I can guarantee you they didn't do any work on the game until maybe 2 years ago. Maybe. It's the same thing with Anthem. And oh yeah, this game was in the works for 8 years, and they basically worked on it for 18 months before it came out. Yeah, that's basically the same thing that is going on with the Elder Scrolls 6.
Skyrim, outside of ESO and Fallout 76, Bethesda has developed Fallout 4 and Starfield, just 2 single-player launches in 15 years, one of which was supposed to be the very big Xbox console seller and was not. But it turns out that somebody above Bethesda has also been asking these same questions ever since she took over, and her name is Asha Sharma. Asha took over for Phil Spencer back in February, and among other changes, she has made it very clear that she is done waiting on Bethesda's big games. I mean,
Good.
somehow we have gotten 2 full seasons of a live-action Fallout show, while the studio that owns Fallout hasn't shipped a new mainline game in over a decade. So reportedly, Asha went over to Obsidian, the New Vegas people, canceled the Avowed sequel they were working on. Thank goodness. Cut about a
Good.
quarter of the studio and pointed everything that is left at a brand new Fallout game. The whole situation is kind of like when your mom would ask you to take the trash out and then ask you again a day later, and then wait a truly generous amount of time while you sit there doing absolutely nothing about it,
yeah.
until she finally walks over, picks up the bag herself, obviously not happy, and goes, "Fine, I'll do it myself." Now, having your own IP pulled out from underneath you is a pretty extreme thing to have happen, but it doesn't happen out of nowhere. Like we talked about in my last video, Asha explained in her memo that in a typical year, Xbox has been losing 64 cents on every dollar that they have put into their studios. The sizes of the studios grew exponentially.
That's not good. That absolutely isn't good.
While the player base and the sales all went down. So she has decided to flatten the whole thing out, taking as many as 14 layers of management, yes, 14, across—
That's way too much. That at least 10 layers of management too much. Yeah. 10 layers have to go. Just the amount of money you save there is massive. And then, of course, you know, you can have decision making being way faster.
Some of these studios down to 5, maybe even 3, with a big refocus on games that actually bring in players and drive revenue, which, as you can probably guess, has not gone over well with some of the devs. There are organized protests from the Bethesda union members happening this week. There was a memorial in the Bethesda lobby, framed photos, notes, and flowers. I will be honest with you, when I first saw the pictures, I actually thought it was a memorial for devs who had, passed away. It wasn't, and then I learned HR made them take it down almost immediately because it was deemed inappropriate for a common area. But it didn't stop there. The Bethesda union took to the one place where they knew that their call to arms would be heard: Blue Sky.
Oh,
where the players
yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Sorry, where the people who post about the players are. The same players Bethesda has ignored for over a decade, asking fans to call Microsoft on their behalf. And the reason that we are supposed to give Microsoft for leaving Bethesda alone and letting them go back to doing who knows what is the concept of Elder Scrolls 6, which probably right now is looking a little something like this.
Oh God, I can't look.
A white skeleton. I guess deep down, we're all white in a way.
Don't say that.
I think I'm gonna be
What the hell is this?
But if you think that is ridiculous, those same union members went to our beloved gaming journalists to make sure we all know that they will not be silent about any of this, saying, "We need to show management right now that we mean business, so they will properly take care of our fellow coworkers and think twice before ever attempting something like this again." And yes,
so this is kind of a threat. I wonder if they can take legal action against that person. Would be funny.
Does kind of sound like the type of threat I would see from a Discord mod before getting banned because of my tone. Now, as a reminder, Microsoft has been losing 64 cents on every dollar. Fallout 76 launched the way Fallout 76 launched. Starfield was not the console seller that they had wanted. It has been—
because it's just bad. And boring. The thing is, can a game be good and boring? Well, I guess it can be well made and, you know, technically on being run well and stuff like that. Yeah, no. A boring game can never be good. Now it can have boring passages that lead up to awesome things, but these passages should never be too long. You know, just like in Half-Life 2. Yeah. So, yeah, a boring game can never be good. Yeah. I mean, for women, yeah, sure.
15 years since the last Elder Scrolls, and because they have now sat on it for so long, their own IP is being handed off to a sister studio because their new mom does not trust them to get the job done anymore. And the demand Bethesda is making—
for good reason. I mean, they haven't gotten their job done in over a decade. Almost 2 decades now. I don't know, a decade.
to management after all of that is to think twice. I don't know. I feel like Bethesda thinks we are really dumb, and I am not just saying this to defend Microsoft, the billion-dollar company, but acting like consequences showing up now for 10 to 15 years of poor management, decision-making, and twiddling your thumbs on your most popular IPs are somehow completely coming out of nowhere is crazy to me. What is funny is I've always thought of Bethesda as just a really slow studio. Yes, Skyrim, like many of their games, launched full of bugs, but it was just such a generational experience that you could look past it, and it is still one of my favorite games of all time. But 15 years in between sequels does not make you a slow company. 15 years in between sequels and 15 years of nobody ever telling you no apparently makes you insanely comfortable. Comfortable enough to be bought for $7.5 billion, largely for the games that you won't make, and then act shocked when you lose one of those IPs that you have sat on for a decade. Comfortable enough that management asking you to do your job is the part you take to the press, and comfortable enough to look at the consequences of your own studio's actions for the past decade and ask the players you have ignored to please go make it stop. It is obvious that Bethesda has just...
They're just a bunch of entitled brats. That's all. Just a bunch of entitled brats that are lazy and don't want to work. They want the titles, that want to have the prestige, they want the money, but they don't actually want to do the work. That's what's going on.
Been sitting pretty, doing whatever it is that they want, but now, as it always does, the bill has come due, and their response to all of this pressure has been very telling, which brings me to another studio under a huge amount of pressure that has taken a much more humble approach. And that would be Pocket Pair, because at the exact same time we have been watching all of this Bethesda news play out, we have been watching Palworld fight and climb right back to the top while spending the last 2 years being sued and harassed by Nintendo and Game Freak the whole way through. So let's talk about what they did. Palworld hit 1.0 on July 10th after 2 years in early access. Back during 2024, they hit 2.1 million concurrent players, the third highest number any game has ever pulled on Steam. And then after 1.0 went live, the count spiked all over again and peaked at almost 860,000 concurrent players,
so
making them one of the 15 biggest launches in the history of the platform. For the second time, at this point, they really are only competing with themselves. But even though those numbers are super
oh yeah, the game is super successful. It's so successful, even I look at the game and think like, maybe I should play that. Maybe I should look over the aesthetics that I don't really like and just play the game. I mean, the game has to be good if so many people play it. Right?
exciting, that is not the part that I love the most, because for over 2 years, Palworld's Steam page had that little warning on it saying that the price may increase at or closer to the official release, which is pretty standard for early access, and Pocket Pair had every excuse in the world to raise it. They had more or less doubled the size of the game. The 1.0 patch notes alone ran 27 pages long. There are 72 new pals, a new world region, a combat overhaul. They have spent the last 2 years working so hard to earn people's trust, and I don't think anyone would have been angry about a $40 Palworld, but instead of raising the price, they discounted it at launch and posted this. After much thought, we have decided not to raise the price of Palworld following the 1.0 release, and we'll keep it at $29.99. We are incredibly proud of how far Palworld has come. Thanks to the amazing support of our players, it has become a success beyond our wildest dreams. John Buckley, their head of publishing, even mentioned that while you don't need to wipe your data because they want to respect the time and effort you put in during early access, you probably should, because so much has changed that you would just have a better time starting fresh, which is exactly...
Number one, yes. Number two, they literally don't need to increase the price because there are only a handful of people working on the game, and they've all become multi-millionaires with this game. All of them. Which is insane. And I'm really happy for them that they made that. I'm really happy. They deserve that. Because they've made something that's just beloved by so many people.
What I ended up doing, and it has already been a much smoother experience than what I remember, but also no more T-posing when I load in, so that's a little sad. So after 40 million players, a lawsuit from the godfather of the industry, after becoming one of the...
Oh yeah, 40 million by... it was $29. We just go with 20. So we double that. That's 80 million. $80 million. Yeah. They never need to work in their entire life again.
The biggest launches on the Steam platform twice over, the takeaway from the Pokemon with Guns people is still nothing but immense gratitude, and we can't believe we get to do this. And I don't think the success and their response to all of this is just because they are nice, even though I'm sure that they are. I think it is because they know that the audience doesn't owe them anything. The industry as a whole doesn't owe them anything. They could have gotten angry about Nintendo and let everyone know prices would be raised in order to combat legal bills, and some people probably would have understood that. Or they could have just stopped working on the game, kept the early access money, and let that be the ending of everything, which happens all the time from studios who never had anything close to this kind of excuse. But instead, they finished it at the same price and then thanked us all for showing up. Not surprisingly, this whole approach has been a huge success, even despite the lawsuit, which, speaking of, Nintendo and Game Freak have pretty much all but lost at this point, with analysts now pointing Nintendo's odds against any current version of Palworld pretty much at zero, and maximum damages of around $30,000, which is obviously chump change for old Ninty. The court technically still hears evidence in October, but they are probably going to lose big. So while Nintendo is out there shaking their fist like the Arthur meme, watching everyone go crazy for the game that they tried to sue out of existence, Palworld is over here printing money, thanking their fans, and having a blast, completely unbothered. So if the past couple of weeks have shown us anything, it is that some studios buckle under pressure and blame everyone else, some ignore it completely, along with their fans, but then some every once in a while thrive in it and find a huge amount of success. And I think that a lot of it comes down to whether they still believe they have to earn their players or they think that they are just entitled to them and their money. Bethesda has had over a decade and a blank check, and when the bill finally showed up, the answer was that there will be a further delay, a press cycle about how hard everything is, and a blue sky post asking players to call Daddy Microsoft and defend them, using the game that they have been sitting on for 15 years as the reason. Come on now, guys. Ubisoft's answer to this pressure was to go back to basics with Black Flag, which has actually seen a lot of success, but you know, they had to Ubisoft it up by selling you a ton of optional microtransactions and a figurehead with a bra on it. Sony's answer to all of their backlash has been to say nothing, while the executives cash out and their customers walk away. And Nintendo's answer to pressure was not to respond with healthy competition, but to go to court over the concept of catching a creature. In all of these examples, none of these companies are really trying to earn our business or our loyalty. They are really not trying to do right by us. They are just so confident that the money is still going to show up because it always has. But it does kind of seem like times are changing, and at the same time, some are starting to wake up and change their ways. Xbox is at least trying to course correct and make up for years of bad decisions, but
they just see the numbers and go, holy cow, we need to make money. We need to make money or we're going under. Well, the Xbox division, that is.
With all of this, with how the AAA industry has been acting for so long, we've got to remember, none of these studios are owed our money or our decades-long patience just because they used to make games that we loved. We are well past that. Even Rockstar, with their solid track record, is not owed an $80 or $100 pre-order, especially when they have shown zero gameplay and refuse to give players who want one a physical copy. I mean, it'll be almost a decade since Red Dead 2. How do you think that their studio and the people who work there have changed in the last 8 years? Something to think about. And it's not like I'm asking for any of these studios to be perfect or to never have a miss or to just hand us everything for free. I just want them to value us, their customers, the people who pay for their products.
It's not wanting anything for free. I mean, we're paying for this stuff. So just give us what we are paying for. Stop being arrogant pricks. Well, I know they are. The developers cannot be because they just are. But the thing is that everything going digital does not come from these companies. That comes from BlackRock and other, big investment companies. Well, a lot of investment companies are also, owned by BlackRock. Yeah. So yeah, they're all the same. They just want the most money out of you as they can get. Because they see you as their slaves. That's what's going on. They don't see you as humans. You are just cattle to them. Keep that in mind.
and to hold themselves to a standard that doesn't allow for a 15-year gap on a game, blowing millions of dollars and asking us to go call their parents on their behalf. And Palworld is a great example, a indie studio that has spent the last 2 years battling it out for the right for their game to even exist, let alone even earning a player base. They could have charged more and chose not to. They could have gotten bitter and blamed everyone but themselves, but instead, they are just unbelievably grateful for their customers, for the position that they're in, and that respect and gratitude is absolutely paying off. All right, if you made it to the end of this video, but thank you so much for being here. Have you tried out Palworld 1.0? If so, what are all your thoughts?
Not
Let
yet.
me know in the comments below. It has been so much fun starting a fresh account. As you can probably tell, I needed to talk about it with someone who isn't bound by
That looks actually good.
marriage to listen. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.
Good video. Good video. I mean, like always, I think I've never seen a video of her that wasn't good. Yeah. I completely think that Bethesda and all the studios that made games that are owned by Microsoft and... no, let's go wider. All studios that made games that no one wanted to play them, and they lost money, deserve to have layoffs. They deserve to go under. I absolutely think that. Because, I mean, what else would you think? Oh, just keep them around, these people around that make these failures? No. Frick them. They don't deserve anything. What they deserve is a smack in the neck for being stupid. That's what they deserve. And with that, we are at the end of this video. If you liked it, give it a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And let me know in the comments. Do these people deserve to get laid off? I think yes. Yes, very much. Very much so. Bye bye.